Folks, welcome back to the channel. As the title says, I'm getting rid of a pair of Nicks. Not all of my Nicks, of course, but I'm getting rid of my first pair of Nicks that I ever bought. My Builder Pros. I bought these boots and I ordered them custom configuration so I could get the extra thick sole, and I did not take the time to properly size my foot, and so I waited and waited, and when these boots finally arrived, they were the wrong size. Now, I was too stubborn to send them back because I didn't want to wait to get another pair for a size exchange. So I put a thick pair of socks on. It was the winter time, so it didn't seem to matter at the time. And I wore them. I wore them for 6 months, something like that. Long story short, they're too big. These boots are in 11D. My Brannock size is 10.5, and a 10E fits me perfectly. So for those of you that have never bought a pair of Nicks, I highly recommend, if you're considering doing it, get yourself a Brannock device or use their sizing guide, whatever it takes to figure out exactly what you need before you purchase your boots. It will save you a ton of heartache in the long run. If you like this type of content and you'd like to see more of it, please consider subscribing, hit that like button, smash that notifications bell so you can be notified every time I release a new video. So a fellow YouTuber of mine, Ground Pounder, he's an arborist out of Michigan, has been wearing a pair of Hoffmans for a while now, and he's seen my videos on Nicks, and we chat back and forth from time to time, and I decided that I'm going to send him this pair. These boots are his boot size, so I'm going to ship them over to him and see if he likes them. I don't want them sitting on my shelf anymore. They're work boots. They deserve to be worked in. These boots changed my whole world of what I thought a work boot could be, and so I don't want them sitting here not getting used. So they're getting sent over to him. But before I send them over to him, I want to do a little conditioning on them. I condition them pretty regularly when I was wearing them, but it's been a couple years and they haven't been outside or overly dried out or anything, but I just want to make sure that they're freshly conditioned for him. So I'm going to be putting some Obernoffs on them today. If you guys have never heard of Obernoffs, this is the stuff that all the loggers in the Pacific Northwest use. They make both an oil and then they also make an LP, which is a leather protectant. Now, I don't have a ton of experience with this LP stuff. This is actually the first container I ever bought of it. I've always just used the leather oil, and it's done me really well. I've heard that this LP is a little bit better for like waterproofing for snow and rainy stuff. So, Ground Pounder, these boots are coming to you. And just for the sake of fun, I thought I would make a quick little video. I've done videos before about doing conditioning of leather. I thought I would just do another one real quick and show you guys how I do care and feeding of my Nicks handmade boots. So stick around. Now, there's really only two brushes that I use for cleaning boots. I've got a metal, really coarse brush that's used sometimes in welding, and I use this on my work boots if I get really thick mud or concrete slurry caked onto my boots. But these are pretty clean, and so I'm just going to hit these up quickly with a horsehair brush, get them cleaned as well as I can. I'm not going to get them wet or saddle soap them or any of that stuff. I never use saddle soap. I think if you oil your boots a whole bunch and they end up getting a really thick layer of grimy oil on them over time, once in a blue moon, it's worth it to saddle soap them. But if you are already doing that, you know probably more about leather conditioning than I do. So I'm going to take these laces out. Quick little tip for doing boot cleaning is take the laces out of one boot at a time so that you remember which kiltie goes in which boot. One thing that I do too, you don't have to do this, is sometimes I'll flip them inside out after I clean them and condition them. The only thing is, once they start to get this curl like you see here, it's really kind of hard to train them the other way, so you're kind of stuck with the kiltie once the boots are broken in the way that it goes. So here on the inside of the gusset, where the upper meets the vamp, this is a really crucial spot to get all that dirt out of there. This is where you can get dirt and rocks that'll build up in there, and it causes abrasion, and it can really prematurely wear out your leather if you don't get that stuff out of there from time to time. These boots are pretty clean right now, but I've had some boots where I've opened these up to clean them and I was just shocked by how much stuff was caked up on the inside right there. So that's basically all I'm going to do as far as cleaning this boot. Like I said, it already wasn't that dirty, and it's a work boot anyways. See a little bit on the upper, but that's about that. So Obenauf's oil, this stuff is, it used to be like 16 bucks or 18 bucks, something like that, for like a 16-ounce container like this. One of these will last me well over a year, and I have lots of boots that I condition. So I did, I was worried I was going to run out for this video, so I went ahead and bought another one, and I think this one was 24 bucks with taxes, something like that, but 24 bucks to get a year, 2-3 years. I mean, if you only have 1 or 2 pairs of work boots, this thing will last you a couple of years. The 16 ounce like this. I wouldn't get one smaller than this. It's not that much cheaper for one that's smaller, and I think 16 ounce is the way to go. There's a lot of different methods for applying this leather oil. One thing I will say is try to be weary of the eyelets, the hooks, and don't oil the leather that's on the sole or the heel stack, that veg tanned leather. This heel stack has a bunch of glue that's holding this veg tan leather together, and if you get that penetrated with oil, sometimes you can start to get separation in your heel stack, and that's not something that you want. This veg tanned leather that's on the heel doesn't really need to be oiled. If you want to improve the look of it, you can give it a light sand and add beeswax and then slightly melt it in there, or some kind of a polish. They make beeswax based shoe polishes that you can darken them up if you want to get them nice and chocolatey brown again. This is a work boot for me, like I don't care. I also would never use a wire brush on a fancy high-end heritage leather boot, right? But these are work boots, and these are going to an arborist. He's going to be using these things out in the field, so I don't really care with the heel stack if it's the right color or looks fancy schmancy or whatever. I just want to get these boots oiled up so that they're ready to go for him, and he can get a couple of months out of them before he's got to oil them up again himself. Now, I'm on a lot of the Pacific Northwest boot forums on Reddit, and there's one for Franks on Facebook. That one I'm not on as much because I don't really use Facebook very much, but people are always giving these scary warnings about over-oiling or over-conditioning your boots, and my experience has been that my problem is exactly the opposite. Look in there, I just got it on the sole. Oh well. Not the end of the world, it's just not where I was aiming. But really, I mean, I think if you were obsessive about it, or if you're the kind of person who wears your boots once a week and then you want to go about conditioning them once a month, that's probably overkill. But if you're working in your boots every single day like I do, you're going to want to condition your boots on a real regular basis. You know, the benefit of a pair of Nicks is not only the toughness, the quality of build, but the longevity of the boot. That benefit is really only attained if you condition the leather. Like, I don't care how high quality of the boots are, the leather, whatever. If you let that leather dry out and it cracks, it's not going to last you, right? So in order to get the best bang for your buck out of your Nicks, I would really highly recommend that you stay on top of conditioning your boots. You know, they need care and love. Leather is skin, right? It's animal skin, and even after it's tanned, it really requires love like a living thing does. Yeah, it's incredibly durable and can last you a lifetime if you take the time to properly condition it. Now, if you, let's say you get like the 1964 ash gray, or you get one of the lighter tannages, and you're worried about darkening your leather by conditioning it, I would recommend you pick something other than Obenauf's. Now, I know they make like Venetian shoe paste, there's a few other things. I don't have any experience with that stuff because I just wear work boots. That's why I love these boots. I work in the trades and I need them for work, so I buy the work leathers. And I don't really care if they get darkened or any of that stuff. But I also don't wear lighter leathers very often. I do have a pair of the new Spokane leather on the way, and I will be making some videos on that. I'm really excited about that new leather. But yes, if you are worried about the darkening of your boots because of conditioning, I would look into something like Venetian Shoe Cream. There's a few other ones. There's a YouTube channel called A Gentleman's Journey, and that guy has some really awesome videos on boot conditioning and all sorts of fun things. I think he also did a tour of the Frank's shop as well as the Nicks shop on his channel, which is like a dream of mine. I would love to be able to convince my wife to make a trip to Spokane just to go to these boot shops, but I don't think that's going to happen. I will put just a little bit of that Obenauf's, like the residual on my hands, just to put a little of that nice clean conditioned look on the heel stack, but I'm by no means going to soak it in there. And you can see that these boots, even though I've conditioned them regularly, are pretty dry and they're soaking this stuff right up. Now my experience has been that the rough out soaks up a lot more than if you get all smooth side boots, and I don't know if that's just the nature of the suede or whatever it is, but yeah, see, there's no way I would have enough in this container to do 2 pairs of boots, because I'm not even halfway done with this first pair and I'm running out of Obenauf's, so I'm glad I got that other bottle. But yeah, these are going to go to Ground Pounder. I will leave a link to his channel down below. If you guys could do me a solid and go and check out his channel. If you like what you see, give him a like and a subscribe. He's a really, really awesome dude. And he's just salt of the earth. He actually came by my neck of the woods last year, and we tried to get lunch together, and it just last minute some plans changed, and we unfortunately weren't able to get together, but I really, really want to get together and hang out with that guy. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to tree work. Like, he's a real tree worker, right? Like, I have a YouTube channel where I dabble with chainsaws, and I like to go and cut trees down in the woods, and I know people that are arborists. Like, I'm a plumber, right? I'm a turd herder. That's what I do. I take the poo-poo and make it go away, right? And bring you fresh water. That guy's a real arborist. He's the real deal. And his channel is all about that stuff. So if you like chainsaws and cutting trees down and dangerous tree removals and all sorts of cool stuff, if you like steel chainsaws and hot saws and all that stuff that just, is right up my alley, his channel would be something I think you'd really, really like. It's also not like overly produced or anything like that. Like, you can tell it's just a guy with his camera trying to be part of a community and show off what he loves to do, and he's super community oriented. He does live streams really regularly, usually very early in the morning. I'll look at my phone at like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? It's 5:30 in the morning. This guy's already up sipping coffee and talking to his subscribers. It's pretty cool. I actually hopped onto his live stream while I was driving to work the other morning in the pitch dark in the middle of nowhere, and I don't know, it was just really fun. Really fun. So I'm going to give these a little bit more love. Switch on over to the other boot, and then I'll show you guys what I do with the kilties and the laces. We'll get these laced back up, and I'm going to get these shipped out the door over to my buddy Ground Pounder so that he can try out his first pair of Nicks handmade boots. I just keep oiling until they don't take oil anymore. I'll leave them sit for a few minutes, and usually they suck up all the rest of that oil. And if they don't, that's when I just take that rag and wipe off a little bit of the excess. But man, these boots are thirsty. I guess having them sit around really got them pretty dry. Although there's no cracking or anything like that. Like, right here in the front of the boot, you know that your boots are way too dry. If you start to see any cracking right where the ball of your foot makes that bend on your boot, if you even start to see any of that, you know that it's probably a little late, but you need to get conditioner on them like ASAP. For the kiltie, I just do the same thing. Rub it in really nice, both sides. I mean, the kilties aren't as important to condition. You can buy a new pair of kilties for like 12 bucks or something. I actually tried out a pair of the Shrunken Bison kilties. I bought them from Nicks to give a try with my Patriots. I really wanted to try that Shrunken Bison out and just give it a give it a test run out in the field and see how it would hold up. I think that's a really good idea for any kind of leather. Like if you're not familiar with it and you just kind of want to see it and touch it and feel it and know what it's like before you commit to spending $600, $700, $800 on a pair of boots that's made out of it, buy a set of Kilties in the leather and throw it in a different pair of boots and see how you like the patina, see how you like the pull up, the stiffness, all those things, right? You can look at all the characteristics of the leather without having to purchase the boots ahead of time. Just take it for what it's worth. So I even oil the laces too. A new pair of laces is, you know, I don't know, they're like $8 or $10 or something if you get the leather laces. A lot of people choose to go with other lace companies. I know there's a few really good handmade lace companies. I've had really good luck with leather laces. I've only broken one pair of leather laces so far, and it was on a pair of boots that I wore every day for over a year. But it's kind of the luck of the draw. I've heard where guys will get a pair of boots and as soon as the laces start to break in, boom, they'll snap, right? And there's some kind of a defect in the leather grain and you can't really see that when they're making the laces, and so it just happens, you know. And it's really not a big deal. Laces are cheap. Man, those boots were a little drier than I thought. They took about a quarter of this bottle. Well, we've got boot number 1 and boot number 2. As you can see, they've darkened up quite a bit. They almost look black right now. That'll kind of lighten back up as this oil sets in and the surface of the boot starts to dry out again. But these definitely, even though they were just sitting for quite a while, they needed some oil, needed some love. So now I'm going to ship these off to Ground Pounder, and I hope you enjoy these boots. I appreciate you guys checking out my video, and we'll catch you on the next one.